Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to do my 2020 predictions for the USA, the long-term future of the USA, a few hints at that, and Donald Trump and the elections, of course. Well, hi again, and thank you for making so many comments on my channel during 2019. It's been a very interesting year with lots of interactions and lots of ideas, and don't forget you can always ask me for predictions if you want to put some new ones in the comments of this thread. So let's first have a look at some of the highlights of what I said in 2019. Donald Trump will win the US election. I've been predicting for a long time, going back since 2014, that I feel there's going to be a political coup and a popular uprising in China. Now, on December the 7th, 2018, there was an article in the Daily Express, that's a UK newspaper, which was quoting some of my predictions from before. I did a feature about them, and one of these actually said, Donald Trump challenges Vladimir Putin. Goring tensions between the West and the East will manifest in 2019 when President Trump challenges his Russian counterpart over Syria. So there's this whole idea, though, about the possible war in the Middle East, and particularly between, well, I was quoting on Russian television about between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and Saudi Arabia being sort of pushed by Trump. There is going to be conflict, particularly when I feel that Saudi Arabia are going to get involved in the conflicts in the Middle East. We're going to see this, when I'm talking about this, I mean places like Saudi Arabia in conflict with Iran. He's going to take on Europe next after China. And his effect upon China is going to cause an implosion in the Chinese system. There's going to be a revolution in China because of Trump. So these are some of my predictions for the primaries for the Democrats to see who will stand against Donald Trump. Now, Bernie Saunders was one person who is obviously clearly quite vocal, but I feel him as a person, I can't sense around him presidency. I can't see him in the White House. So he's a good man, I feel, but a little bit too far with his socialist leanings to appeal to the general American public. Kamala Harris is another one that I felt quite strongly about, but again, I feel I have to give a no. There's a little bit of a clinical feel I get there. Not warm enough for the public. Andrew Yang, who's a bit more of an outsider, but I feel he's going to come to the fore quite well. I feel he's going to fight a very good battle. But there's something that, again, doesn't feel quite presidential in my gut feeling about this. Very clever man, certainly could talk and argue with Trump on economic level, but this isn't going to be fought over economics from the Democrats' point of view. And then also re-entering the race, maybe we would get Ophra Winfrey, but I feel that she's more of a, I don't think she'll push it to go right the way through. She may just step aside, I feel, but she'll certainly be very vocal throughout this, and she'll be, and so will Stacey Abrams. But that, my feeling is that they're not the people that are going to get through to the end. There's the main contenders that I feel we're going to see the faces of the ones that push their way through. Now, I predict that the final race will be between Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. Joe Biden, now if I've got to now hone those two down, my feeling with Joe Biden is he would make a fantastic candidate, but there's a sense with him that his force is spent somehow. This is the sense I get with him, that there's just not enough momentum to get to the final winning line with him. So my feelings are that, so this is my prediction. I predict that Elizabeth Warren will become the Democrat nominee to be president. So if we seeing that too, my feeling is the way this will go when you see it on the television and things, is that the thrust of Trump's attack on her campaign will be that this is a socialist agenda that is not suitable for America. And the arguments against her will be that she will bankrupt the country and destroy the country through things like healthcare, which I think is a wonderful thing, but you know, healthcare, minimal wages and things like this. Maybe I get the feeling sort of like a possibility of a universal wage with this, you know, free healthcare, universal wage, inclusiveness, a humanitarian agenda, all good things. But I feel the argument will be, how do you pay for this? And and it's going to be a bit more of the argument about American nationalism again, keep America great. We've already seen that slogan coming to the fore. But I feel that as we get closer to the line, that the Republicans are going to win some of those important states. North Carolina, I feel, will go to the Republicans. Iowa will go to the Republicans. Florida, that's possibly going to go to the Democrats. So it's going to be very close to the line. It's going to be neck and neck when this election is called. But so we're going to see Elizabeth Warren. But the question is, will she get enough votes to become the Democrat president? Now, leading up to the final elections, which is going to be dominating American news so much through 2020, there's going to be a number of policy introductions by Trump. My sense is that he is becoming aware that one of his main weaknesses is the environment. And I keep seeing environmental things when I tune in to Trump, you know, and he's not an environmentalist, but I predict that he's going to, in conjunction with other countries, I predict that Trump will announce international plans to help reforest Africa and South America. It's going to be this idea like, you know, you can offset your pollution costs against reforestation. And so this plan, which I feel will be done in conjunction with other world powers, will involve tree planting, but also it's got a very strong economic feel to it, that there's a feeling that we will simultaneously exploit the mineral rights. So it's like we might dig up some of the Africa and then reforest it afterwards. This type of concept, I don't know if it could work, but I also get the feeling there's going to be, because I kept seeing a move, an international coming together. Now this isn't the United Nations, this is like a new form of United Nations, a league like the League of Nations, a sort of coming together on a purely environmental, non-political agenda. Like there's a nations come together to buy areas of forest. So just as Trump wanted to buy Greenland, I feel what's going to happen is, I predict that there will be a move to turn the Amazon rainforest into a world park, to actually eventually, and this is not in 2020, this is over a period of time, but we will see it in the future. I feel it will be bought by the world, with limited exploitation of essential minerals, but basically it's going to be a world park. It's going to be bought from Brazil, just as Alaska was bought from Russia years ago. So there's a lot more coming up, but if you're enjoying this, don't forget you can also read all about the future in my book Messages from the Universe, which will tell you all about the future and what I see will happen. It talks about the incredible stories of how my life was predicted in tremendous detail by the sages of India. So there could be some messages in there to inspire you. The American economy will do well in 2020. I see a huge trade deal being done with the UK. I see a huge trade deal being done with Canada. And I see another huge trade deal being done with Australia. All of this together will be like reminiscent of the old British Empire under an American flag. I've already predicted in 2018 that Justin Trudeau will fall from power, and this will open the door for a big deal in Canada. Some are predicting that the dollar will crash in 2020. I feel the opposite. I feel the dollar will become strong. There will be a downturn in 2021. I advise people who are making investments, however, to avoid cryptocurrencies. My sense with those is that there will eventually be a crash. Maybe after 2020, I might be seeing a little bit further ahead with this, but I feel there will be a cryptocurrency crash eventually. There will be a gold and silver investments in 2021 will be a good time to invest. Gold and silver will do okay during 2020. Put your money, if you're investing, into American manufacturing companies and good technology companies. These, I feel, are good investments at this particular time. German companies I see in the decline. European companies generally a gradual loss of value in those companies. Avoid Libra. That is the Facebook's digital currency. I don't think that's going to get off the ground at all. Good investments are American pharmaceutical companies, and particularly those that export to the UK and to Eli Lilly, companies like that. Oil stocks will be up and down like a yo-yo. There's money to be made for those with a very careful and knowledgeable understanding of that market. But remember, I'm fallible too, so investments go up and down. So be very careful how you invest if you invest in that stock or anything that I'm suggesting here. And also, can I say, I do get rather upset when people have been using my predictions to bet on. Because people have been saying, oh, I've won lots of money from betting on you. They don't give me any, of course, but not that I would want it. But please don't bet on my predictions. Now, all of this that I'm talking about is under the cloud of a trade war, because we have the trade war already with China, which is going to get worse. But also we have a trade war looming, I feel, with Europe. So there will be a very volatile period ahead for those making investments. But my feeling is that America will remain economically strong, certainly up to the point of the election. 2021, we may see some more difficulties, but certainly I feel American investment is the best way forward at the moment. Let's now turn to Chinese and American relations, because those of you who have followed my predictions about China on my other videos will see that a long while ago I predicted that there would be this revolution in China that I've seen coming for a long time. Sort of strong feelings about this. It does seem to be happening now in Hong Kong. My feeling is that this will escalate. It will go further. We'll see more of this happening in 2020, not just in Hong Kong, but in mainland China as well. The trade embargoes with China are not going to ease. I see Trump encouraging American companies to come out of China, not just advised, but through legislation in a big way. So China is going to be a problem in 2020. But we're not going to see in China the bloodshed that happened in the Maoist revolution. We're going to see a much more gentle, although riotous, transfer of power. And my feeling is there that eventually the Chinese authorities will step back. There will be problems, but they will step back, and democracy eventually will take control in China, true democracy. And as I've said in my other videos, that this new democracy that will emerge in China and make it a very powerful force in the world for good will be based around the teachings of Sun Yat-sen, who was based and lived in Hawaii, you may know. As we draw close to elections, of course, people bring everything out of the all the skeletons out of the closet and try to throw all the muck at each other. But I do feel that there will be a true revelation about something there has been a actual plot to oust Trump, and foreign powers have been involved in this. It's not the Hillary Clinton stuff, it's something completely new, and I feel that this will have weight to it and be able to be enforced in court. There will be prosecutions before the elections. I've talked about the Democrats, I've talked about the political lead up to the next election in America. So where do I stand? I believe the next presidency of the United States will be won by Donald Trump. There's always troubles in the Middle East, of course, but in 2018 I made the specific predictions, and particularly on Russian television I remember, that there would be a war between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and we would see the first signs of that. Well, it does seem to have happened, and it's been happening as I speak in terms of the, at this point I'm talking to you now, there was a drone attack on the refineries. This war, as it were, is going to increase. There's going to be more strikes. What America will do is back Saudi Arabia rather than send their own troops in. So there will be direct strikes from Saudi Arabia to Iran and vice versa. This is going to escalate, but I feel because it's election time, we're going to see a lot of diplomacy come in at this time. We will see Trump and Putin getting together to try to sort the whole thing out. It could be a very dangerous situation that may bring us to the brink. A deal wants to be made, but I feel it can't be made just yet. In 2021, I feel the whole thing escalates again. The whole war in the Middle East will make the Democrats look weak because they're talking about a pacifist agenda, and the hawks will win the arguments, I'm afraid, in the elections. In 2020, there will be a war between Venezuela and Colombia. America will be drawn into this in that it gives intel and supplies arms and support for Colombia. This will be very controversial in the lead up to the American elections. Trump will not accept Venezuelan refugees. I also predict that the winter of 2020 in America will be very harsh indeed, one of the worst that's been seen. New York in particular will be badly affected. In the summer of 2020 there will be considerable seismic activity across the US, not just around the Ring of Fire. And I predict that a devastating hurricane will hit Miami in 2020. More coming up soon, but I hope you're enjoying these predictions, and maybe you could get a prediction for yourself if you call one of my psychics. We've got a special line just for America, and you can call one of my psychics for 59 cents per minute for the first 10 minutes. It's our welcome offer. So have a look at the website, click that purple square in the corner of the screen that you can see now, and that will take you to my site, and you can choose your reader and get a short reading maybe. Just get a few ideas from a British psychic who will talk to you directly in America. In 2018, in my predictions for 2019, I did predict that Trump would be taken ill during this part of his presidency. It hasn't happened. I do feel it will happen still. My sense is that there's going to be an illness around Trump at some stage. I gave details before about what that would be. So it will interrupt his presidency. I get the sense that we're going to get that in quite soon. I get the feeling that will happen just after he's re-elected. After the Trump era, as it were, I feel the Democrats are going to take the presidency. And my feeling is that when we get into this era, there will be a complete swing the opposite way to what people are experiencing now, with a much more socialist agenda taking the stage. Talk properly about healthcare, talk about the environment. The environment will become one of those major factors after the Trump presidency that people will be voting Democrat over, because we're going to see so much more in the future ahead, and something will have to be done about it. So we're going to get a lot more of a move towards this idea that I spoke about before, of a universal wage, of looking after the poor, the sick, and so forth. We're going to get a complete change in the American mentality at that time. At the moment, the Trump era is with us. The Trump era is making America economically strong, but whether it's making it morally weak is also a question that the Democrats might ask. So I'm neutral. I'm English. I can't vote anyway, so I can't really say. Now, I also predict that in America this year, 2020, we're going to see some real big innovations in technology. In particular, I was getting this sense that there's something about plastic recycling, where we're using something like bacteria to break down plastic in the sea. Also, being able to take the CO2 out of the air mechanically is something that I feel is going to be in the news a lot in 2020. They are doing something like this, but I feel there's going to be a big step forward with this. Also, clean energy from water. I got a strong feeling there's going to be something like that. Now, it's not breaking water up electrically. There's something new that they discover in order to break hydrogen and oxygen to make perfectly clear fuel. A cheap way of doing it. So there's a feeling about that. This would have a transformative effect upon the world. Now, I get the sense we're going to get a bit of this in 2020, but I'm kind of looking now a lot further ahead, because there's going to be this, in the future, there's going to be a clean energy revolution which will absolutely harmonize the world and bring the world together in a far better way. Imagine if we had so much energy, and so cheap an energy, that we could, we could desalinate water and make the deserts green. There's huge potential for that, and I feel there's something happening with that. It's not this 0 point energy idea, it's something slightly different to that, but there's something coming, and I feel we're getting a real breakthrough this year. And I also feel we may even start to crack major illnesses like the common cold in 2020. Now, just a short idea about the long-term future of America, because I will do something properly about this later. But when you think about it, America was founded by very sincere people who were religiously persecuted. A large part of it was. From my own hometown here in Southampton, the Mayflower set sail, and then went to Plymouth, and then went on to America. So it's very much in my mind sometimes when I pass those memorials in Southampton that it was people with a religious intent that founded America. Now, in America, there's a very strong Christian belief system, which I feel has lost its way. I sense that in America, in the future, there's going to be a spiritual revolution. But this will not be all this evangelistic type of revolution and all this, I'm saved and you're not sort of attitude. A much deeper relook at Christianity. And I sense there's going to be, this is going to happen, this is going to be seeded, believe it or not, from India. Something's going to happen in India where there's going to be a holy revolution that's going to spread to America and capture the imagination of people in America, and be able to push out that arrogant, fundamentalist sort of Christianity, and a new deep spirituality based on personal awakening that will happen in America. Now, that's a very controversial thing I'm saying to a lot of people there, but it's basically getting back to what the original Christian teachings were all about. America will become a beacon to the world, I feel, in the future, because it will change from being the materialistic country it has become into its original roots and its original ideas of its founding fathers. So that's one feeling I feel for America, something that I feel longer ahead, that are much further ahead, not 2020, but something optimistic that I'd like to leave you with. Because we do go through some difficult times, of course. The whole world goes through difficult times. But my feeling is that the destiny of the world is ultimately to awaken. We're only on this earth for one purpose only, and that is to awaken. Whatever we do, whether it be business, whether it be religion, whether it be science, whether it be arts, whatever, it's all about awakening. That's what the whole universe is about. Consciousness. The universe is here because of consciousness. So it cannot fail. That is the remit of existence. Anyway, I'll leave you with those thoughts at the end. And thank you for joining my channel. And if you enjoy the channel, please do follow us. Click that little bell at the bottom of the screen, and that little, when you heard the bell, that little bell thingy to follow us, and you'll get updates every time a new video goes live. And I've got lots more to come on lots more topics about predictions coming up between now and the new year. So thanks for joining us. See you again soon. Bye for now.